What's up, A to Z Sports here live on a Wednesday as this crazy week continues. The remnants of the firing of Brian Callahan. We heard from interim head coach Mike McCoy for the first time yesterday about his plans for the next 11 weeks, 11 games. I guess 12 weeks, 11 games in 12 weeks for the remainder of the 25 Titans season and what he will do, some changes that he will make. And one NFL insider expects Cam Ward to get the green light in this Titans offense. So we'll go through what does that mean exactly. Is that just throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks? Or is this something that's legitimate changes on the horizon with what Mike McCoy has coming up? So JT had a fat finger moment because at first it looked like it was going to be an 8:55 a.m. Central Time show. No, we're here alive and well, ready to go here at our normal 8:08 to 8:10 time that we typically do here. But we're going to have a fascinating conversation because all of these shows this week are going to be potentially flammable, right? Like I think anytime we go live for the next several days, there is a potential for things to go off the rails based off of how this fan base is reacting to the firing of Brian Callahan, what the actual problem is, how to fix it with Cam Ward, and how bad this team is and what Amy's doing and what Amy's not doing. Because more people nationally are continuing to write and talk about Amy Adams-Strunk and the Titans' dysfunction from the top down over the last 3 years since John Robinson was canned following the trade of A.J. Brown. So there's a lot of context from that we have been living this last 3+ years of being in the middle of the Titans stuff. So here talking about today, Cam Ward, the green light, and also something that Jeffrey Simmons is doing that I think is being misconstrued a little bit. But we're going to talk about that. And it's funny enough, I get a text just now that Xfinity is working in my neighborhood to enhance the network. So hopefully that means that I stay online and don't get kicked off the internet because I just got that text come in at 8:12. So fun stuff this morning. JT, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on, Austin? Yes, apologies for the fat finger on the 8:55. 5 and 0, as many people know, are very close to each other on the keyboard. Not at all. I don't know. My bad. Maybe I put just 8-5 and it put in there. Either way, we're here. We're live. We're ready to go. Good morning, everybody. Good to see all of you guys in the chat this morning, from Jacoby to Robbie to Eric. Good morning, all of you guys. Katie, Jeff, John, Andrew. Good to see all of you guys here this morning. Couple things we need from you guys before we get started. First of all, make sure you are liking the show. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the content we are bringing you here at the A to Z Sports YouTube channel. If you're watching on Facebook, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure you like the page and hit that share button with a friend who wants to talk Titans this morning. Going to be very, very good discussion because we heard from Mike McCoy. I have some thoughts and maybe changing opinions on my initial reaction to him being named the interim based on what he had to say yesterday. Excited to get into all of that, and I'm sure whatever other, hills everybody in the chat wants to die on, because I think that's what we're ultimately, it is what I've learned this Titan season, because I always come away with a I guess message or narrative or thing that I take into the next season afterwards. You have to die on your hill. There's no in-betweenness here. It has to be all or nothing. And it's getting very, very funny to watch a lot of the time. But I'm excited to do it nonetheless.
Yeah, there is no room for nuance and context and specific conversations ever when it comes to this team. So let's go ahead and get to it officially. Welcome to the A to Z Sports here live on a Wednesday. I'm Austin Stanley. He's JT Runke. We are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. Hit us up on Instagram, TikTok and Threads for more great Titans content. Leave us a 5-star Google review. That goes a long way for our company as a whole. And have to thank our sponsors because they do make it happen for us and they help out all of you as well. Wilson County Hyundai, make them a part of your new car buying process. See them in Lebanon or online, wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Barton Drury Insurance Group, customized solutions for all of your insurance needs. They're local and online at bartondrury.com. Botero Carts, life is short. Buy a golf cart. They've got 2 locations, Columbia and in Gallatin, boterocarts.com. And Window Nation, buy 2 windows, get 2 windows free with no payments until 2027 at windownation.com for a free estimate for your home. So a lot of things to dive into here. Jacob says, you think we're smart enough to understand context? It's not that, like, people, we all individually are smart enough to understand context. I think the problem, JT, that we were kind of talking about in the cold open of this Titan season is that nobody is on the same page when it comes to having the conversation that they want to have, right? Because it's everybody has the hill they're dying on. And so you're arguing and yelling across the valleys from these different hills you're dying on. And none of it's making sense because by the time your message gets to the other hill, that guy's like, no, my hill thinks this way. It's like, no, we agree, but you can't hear anything. And so we individually understand it. We're not dumb people. The chat is not full of dumb people. Collectively, the chat is dumb. Individually, the chat is smart, right? I think that's just masses, right? I'm being funny, and I don't want people to get offended be calling the chat collectively dumb because I'm joking. But I think there was a comment that I favorited early on because we're talking about Albert Breer on top of the Athletic. So Mike Silver, Albert Breer, Diane Orsini, others who have pointed out the organizational dysfunction of the Titans from a national perspective. Adam Schefter has talked about it nationally on ESPN. I'm sure there's many other big national names around the NFL that I just haven't mentioned that have been taking their shots right, off the top when it's convenient to at Amy Adams Strunk and the owners. And we have too. That was basically yesterday's show. And I feel very strongly about how this was handled, even though Brian Callahan getting fired was the correct decision in a vacuum. Because Jeff says the mainstream media somehow doesn't realize that all 4 of these people deserve to get fired. John Robinson, Mike Vrabel, Rand Carthon, and Brian Callahan. Yes, in a vacuum. But it's the fact that all of these people got fired within 34 months of one another. And it has created this roundabout chaos way that is not giving anybody confidence for how this can move forward. Because Albert Breer brought up in his column on SI, his Monday Morning Quarterback that he took over from Peter King a few years ago, talking about how Brian Callahan was bad. 419 is not good enough. Everybody understands that. We all nod, say yes. 419 is bad, not good enough, deserves to be fired in a vacuum. But when you look at the Titans' bigger problems, it is not anything that Brian Callahan had in his control to fix. The roster stinks because of the 2020 draft, the 21 draft, the 22 draft, and beyond, right? Not just the first round picks that John Robinson missed out on, but the entire draft classes of those 3 years. And then you look at how all of that trickles down, and it makes everything so muddy, so ugly, so bad. You're missing on offensive linemen. You're over and over again. You can't hire the right person after firing the person that deserved to be fired. Now, if you want to say this is a completely different topic. Maybe I should not go this route. We can save this for tomorrow. I'll stop myself. So, yes, all 4 people deserve to be fired in a vacuum, but we're not living in a vacuum. We're living in this entire situation. And so the Titans are an easy target for Albert Breer, for Mike Silver, the Athletic, for anybody else that wants to go after him, for us. So, JT, any response to that before we dive into the green light topic for Cam Ward?
Absolutely. Like you talk about for Mike Silver to go after, who, by the way, was not looking to go after him, but had his entire story ruined because this happened. Other than, hey, like he was going in to talk about the growth that Brian Callahan and Cam Ward were trying to have together as a tandem coach and rookie quarterback, and they fire him and say, well, there goes that. So I got to figure out, like, they ruined my story because of how they did this. And so I think it's just very funny to me sometimes. I think also, like you said, it's nuanced. It's not in a vacuum. A lot of this stuff, what you said about the hills, right? Like when you were shouting across, there's a real chance that both hills could be right. And like both hills could be right, and just for different reasons. Because I just want to address it before we get over. Randy said, I just want to say you guys and Buck made it seem like it was an object disaster yesterday, which I believed. Then I read the respected Jim Wyatt in his mailbag say there was absolutely a plan in place. And here's where the nuance comes in. Two things can absolutely be
let's
true.
Let's pause because I want to clear this up and be as direct as we possibly can. Randy is pointing out the fact that Buck, Easton, Paul Kaharski on Monday, and then you and I adding with Easton on Tuesday on the show, we're talking about how there was no plan in place with an interim coach after the firing of Callahan Monday midday, right? And then Jim Wyatt comes back in his mailbag and says there was a plan and laid things out, and we were frustrated with the timeline. And so I'll let you take it from there. So just be as direct as possible.
Exactly. Two things can be true. Jim is correct in saying that Chad Brinker had a plan or an idea of a plan in place for when the time came that Brian Callahan was going to get fired. It can also be true that Chad Brinker and the rest of the staff in the front office was not ready to enact that plan on Monday because, once again, I don't think Chad Brinker wanted to make this decision this week in that morning meeting when he sits down with Amy Adams Strunk. I don't think they were ready. So both things can be true. They can have a plan in place for post Brian Callahan, which Jim Wyatt says. They can also not be ready and have to kind of hobble that plan together in the span of like not preparing for it ahead of time Monday morning because they didn't want to make that decision.
I will say, and Bizarro PK says that was not your show take yesterday. We all saw it. That was the show take yesterday. They were not prepared for that moment. And so the same way that like A to Z, we had a plan for when Brian Callahan was getting fired. We did. But I don't think anybody was expecting it. Like we had graphics made, we had articles that were kind of like the newsers kind of ready to go, but it was a guard down on Monday as we were doing other things, regular Monday business, not expecting that to be the Monday that Brian Callahan got fired, knowing that it would be a Monday in season, not Tuesdays. Tuesdays happen for coaches after the season's over. Like what happened with Mike Vrabel, but in season, it would be going to be a Monday. And so we weren't ready, but we had a plan, but we didn't take 7 hours to have a press conference. Or I think so when Easton is saying that he's talking to people inside the building that said they didn't have a plan, it's because the people that were in the building that were not fired had no idea what was happening after Brian Callahan was fired. So when Albert Breer laid this out, he in his article in SI, that there was supposed to be a regular 12:30 staff meet or 11:30 staff meeting that got pushed back to 12:30 because the Vegas travel late. Then that initially got canceled. Then it got rescheduled. And it comes in, Callahan tells his staff, I'm out, I'm fired, I'm done. And then after that, it's kind of like well, what's next? Because in the statement that we got at 12:53, there was no Mike McCoy's the interim coach. It was just like, okay, open-ended. Here we go. And then the 2:30 presser is going to happen, right? Nope, maybe. No, that's canceled. Okay, when's the presser going to happen? Oh, I don't know. And here we are 4 hours, 5 hours later. Okay, now Mike McCoy is the interim coach, leaked out by Nashville Tom Pelissero. And then 7:30 p.m. press conference, which was over 7.5 hours after the initial news. That's why it feels like they didn't have a plan or they weren't prepared to enact their plan on that day. And so that is what I think we're going to talk through. So hopefully we can be on the same page of that. And now we can move forward to talk about green light, right? Because that was the idea of this show, is that a NFL insider expects Cam Ward to get the green light in the Titans offense after the firing of Brian Callahan. We will do that here for the next 25, 30 minutes or so. But first, JT, tell us all about Botero Carts.
Yeah, Botero Carts. Listen, just like the Titans and Brian Callahan, life is short in terms of being a head coach sometimes with this organization. Well, for a long time, but also life is short in our lives as well. So might as well buy a golf cart, and you got to do it with our friends over at Botero Carts. They have 2 locations in the Middle Tennessee area to serve you, one in Gallatin, one in Columbia, their brand new location. 0% financing for 36 months. Carts starting at just $6,700. Open 7 days a week with a full service sale and rental dealership. They're locally owned and operated as well, so no dealer fee, no credit card fee, no credit need option if you need to go that route. No hidden fees or anything like that when you want to buy your shiny new golf cart, because they store them indoors for your convenience when you come to the time in life, because we all know it's short and you need to buy that golf cart. You got to do it with our friends over at Botero Carts.
BTA Sports, better for betters. How about that? I was frozen. I came back. Xfinity ruined my internet, like I said I was going to do. But hey, good job with the Botero Carts read. That was a great timing where I was frozen but never gone. But all right, make sure BTA Sports, you download the BTA Sports app. It'll make you a better sports bettor to help you win in the margins, and they can do a great job for you. You do that by downloading the app using our link in the Facebook title and the YouTube description, or use the code ATOZ14. It gives you a 14-day free trial for a $9.99 weekly subscription. So you get 2 full weeks to try out BTA Sports before you have to pay $1 to help make you a better sports bettor. BTA Sports, better for bettors right there. Okay, now let's dive into this. We're first going to get started with let's hear from Mike McCoy first, because we're going to go through the whole green light offensive situation, because what was it? Mike Borgonzi on Monday evening kind of hinted that Mike McCoy has some ideas and some things he wants to do differently with Cam, with practice, with the offense, with everything, right? So let's hear from Mike McCoy to get to know him a little bit, and then we'll dive into the NFL Insider, who expects Cam to get the green light, and talk about what the Titans can actually change after Brian Callahan is gone with Cam Moore in the offense to try to resurrect the last 11 games.
Things like this come up. It's a bad part of the business. And when I look at it, it's not just coaches, but there's families involved, there's kids involved, things like that. So it's a tough situation for everybody. But that being said, I think, I've got a job to do now, and I'm excited for that opportunity. It's an honor and privilege to be standing here in front of you guys today and leading this organization. We've got a lot of hard work ahead of us. But the one thing, I've talked to the staff already. I'm going to talk to the team tomorrow about, togetherness. We got to stick together. That's the only way to do it, is stick together. We all have a part in this, where we are today. It's not just Brian. And that's the unfortunate thing in this business that happens, and we all have a hand in it. Every player, every coach, every person in the organization, we have to hold each other accountable. So we all have to be accountable for everything we're doing on a daily basis. So that's 2 things, the togetherness part of it and the accountability moving forward. Those are 2 big things that I'm going to stress to everybody, because it's a bad feeling when you see someone that's such a good person like Brian have this happen to.
So look, a lot of that's coach speak, but it's not wrong, right?
No.
And I think what McCoy ended with is why you see interim coach bumps when it comes with juice and bad teams playing better out of the gates with an interim coach, is because the firing of the head coach is a wake-up call. And everybody says, oh, like everybody had a hand in their head coach getting canned. And that is an awakening type of a feeling of a guilt or responsibility and a kick in the ass to go be better, to make sure that you're not costing somebody else. Now, Brian Callahan's fine because he's got a 5-year contract that he's going to get in full with a payout and a buyout. So he's not hurting by any means. Now, the fact that he's a 4-19 head coach and he's going to go down as one of the most unsuccessful, worst NFL head coaches in NFL history is a tough thing to live with. But financially, he's okay. But, I think it's everybody else has to figure out how do they be better, stay together, and not just unravel and fall apart. Because there's a lot of, they can still accomplish many assignments over the next 11 games without winning much more football games. Like, they have to build here, and it's a lot of people that are putting their jobs in the line here for future teams. Mike McCoy is not going to be the head coach in 2026, but what job does he want in 2026, whether here or elsewhere? That's what he's going to try to prove overall here. So any thoughts on Mike McCoy first before we dive into the green light?
Yeah, well, first of all, you talk about, trying to play a little bit more improved football, although in terms of what that does for wins, I don't think it does much, like I said yesterday. However, yeah, he said a lot of the right things that make me feel a little bit more like he can maybe calm the ship, steer it in the right direction, maybe put a rudder to this rudderless ship, get these guys going in the right direction, because you are right that from everyone, from players to personnel to front office, everyone has their hand in the firing of Brian Callahan, right? The players just simply, as Brian Callahan started to say over and over again, the players got to play better and we got to coach better, and they didn't do that. And so that does light a fire under them. And I think the experience that Mike McCoy has in the NFL and to kind of weather this storm, I think it is a good thing to have right now. And so he may not be the biggest, I guess, the biggest mind that is going to totally reshape this team and give him, buzz as, he could be the next head coach of the Tennessee Titans. Because that's not going to happen. It would take a miracle.
Well, Kevin brings this up because I said that, and then Kevin immediately comes in. If I can go find the comment, Kevin says, you say that, but all three interim coaches this franchise has had kept the job. Now, I know of two. I know Jeff Fisher and Mike Mularkey. I don't know what the third is that Kevin's referencing. Maybe that it had to have been before Jeff Fisher, which again is a completely different organization. And Mike Mularkey is the only one you can say, because that was under current leadership, and Amy Adams Strunk is the one who kept Mike Mularkey as the coach after the interim of the firing of not Mike Ken Wisenhunt. So I don't know who the other one is, but maybe Kevin can follow that up. But I mean, sure, Amy did it before, but that was also right after she took over as Jerry Glanville is what Kevin says. So yeah, okay. So, but again, Amy had just taken over the April before firing Wisenhunt. So that was a very new situation for her. So she wanted to stick with what was with what she could kind of like trust, and that was Mike Mularkey, who was a trustworthy guy. So overall, yeah, I mean, I don't expect that to happen again. She's had a decade to do the job now.
Yeah, and once again, like, I don't think this roster is talented enough to win more than maybe, unfortunately, 2 or 3 more games, which goes against what I believe this team could do at the beginning of the season. But now that we're 6 weeks in, I don't think we're going to get there. However, like, it would take some miracle, and Mike McCoy revamping his entire coaching mindset to come back and go on a winning streak in the NFL here. Because, I mean, you also look at what Mike McCoy did in his tenure. There obviously different situations, different times, like also coaching under a pretty dysfunctional ownership group in the Spanos family over there in Los Angeles, formerly San Diego. But he did hand Hugh Jackson his one and only win in his 31 or 32, 1-31 coaching career as the Browns head coach. So like, I don't think there's any possibility in which he gets 2026 and beyond.
Yeah, agree. All right, but let's hear from about what can happen under Mike McCoy. This is Albert Breer of SI, who wrote this in his column on SI.com yesterday about Cam Ward and really as a whole and what this means for a new coaching candidate moving forward. What a coach thinks of Ward will obviously be a part of how attractive the Titans' job is after the season. And I do think you'll see some change with McCoy in charge, just based on McCoy's background. To this point, Ward has looked a little like fish out of water. And knowing what I know about McCoy, my guess is he'll get a green light to be more of a playmaker now, given where the team is. McCoy's experience with quarterbacks is varied from pure pocket passers like Peyton Manning and Phillip Rivers to a true option quarterback like Tim Tebow, an improviser like Jake Delhomme. So at least on paper, he should have it in his bag to give Ward leeway. And again, his performance is important, in part because the situation Strunk's put her football team in. This is Ward. The Titans are not moving off of Ward in all likelihood in 26 or 27, and it'll be hard for any coach to trust, given the history, that he'll get more than 2 years to prove himself with that franchise. So finding someone who believes in Cam Ward will be important, if not essential, and there will be more believers the better Ward plays. So I think that is a big deal on what level of coaching candidate can the Titans hire is based on how well does Cam Ward play, or what does he show you within the margins of the box scores of how well he can play under Mike McCoy by changing some things up. So, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, that is the ultimate goal for Mike McCoy. Obviously, he talked about it yesterday in his press conference. Like, is this a job that you're trying to go for in 2026? And he was, very much like, it's always a dream to get to be a head coach. It's one of 32 jobs, just like a GM. Like, ultimately, even with what Breer is saying there about the more options you'll have, the better he plays. Like, there will be some options no matter what, because just like a GM job, this is one of the most highly sought after jobs in all of I guess the world, probably. Mm-hmm. and I think when he says, the hiring, you'll have more options. I think you'll have better quality options as well. For sure. With Cam Ward. So and it starts with Cam Ward playing. Now, how do they get Cam Ward to play better? And I think Mike McCoy had some really good things to say about their approach to the rest of the season with him that we're about to get to, I imagine.
Yep. Let's hear from it. Here is this is Mike McCoy's answer to Borgonzi floated Monday. Hey, there's some things you might want to change. And so this is how Mike McCoy approached that question.
Well, I think, we've got to, I'm a big believer as we go moving forward. You always got to think players and not plays. And I think we guys got to, you look at this, we got to decide, okay, moving forward, and it's early in the week still. So each week you look at what a defensive scheme, what they're going to run, what do our players do best. So, we got to sit down and like we've done the last, couple hours this morning, getting into the game planning against a good New England team, is what does Cam do best? And what do we do best as an offense? And that's going to be every week. So that's the big thing when we go in there. We got to look at our scheme. What are we doing? And it's going to change from week to week on what we do best.
So a lot of those things, again, coach speak, but not wrong, right? Yeah. It's like it's easy things to say, but how are they being implemented? So let's go ahead, JT, and get to our first question to the audience of the day. And so going off of what Breer said, he believes that Mike McCoy will give Cam Ward more of a green light to make plays. So does giving Cam Ward the quote-unquote green light mean the opposite of Callahan's structure, or is it just throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks? And so, JT, I'll have you put that comment in the chat there for the audience to dive into that. I've already seen some comments that I favorited that we can go back to that kind of address the question before we even ask the question. So, look, the collective chat is on it today. I like how the chat's going today, even after I called the collective chat dumb, individually smart earlier in the show. All right, JT, so you've got that comment in the sections there. So tell us all about our friends at the Bone and Joint Institute, and then we'll see what everybody says.
Yeah, the Bone and Joint Institute, pulling it up here now, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedics in sports medicine, when you get hurt in life, you have to know who to trust. The Bone and Joint Institute is located in Franklin with over a dozen specialists who can help you through any type of injury. They have a state-of-the-art rehab facility on campus to help your recovery, whether that is clinic, testing, imaging, surgery, and rehab. They have it all under one roof for your convenience. Don't fumble your recovery. To schedule an appointment, go to boneandjointtn.org.
BTA Sports Better for Betters. I saw this. They've been 59% over across their projections on BTA Sports, which means that they are winning more than Vegas is. So that's a big deal for BTA Sports. Better for Betters right there. You can download the app and use our link in the Facebook title and the YouTube description. That's our link, the Facebook title and YouTube description, or use the code ATOZ14. That gets you a 14-day free trial before a weekly subscription at just $9.99 to be a better sports bettor and better daily fantasy player. BTA Sports changing the game and dominating the game. Help beat Vegas with them on your side. They do make it easier with pro football games coming up this weekend. So check them out, BTA Sports, with the code ATOZ14 or the link in our descriptions there for that free trial. So, JT, I will send you to the chat. The question here, I'll put up a YouTube poll here in a moment. Does giving Cam Ward the quote-unquote green light mean the opposite of Callahan's structure, or just throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks? What are you seeing here from the chat as far as this topic goes in the post-Brian Callahan season?
Yeah, Adam starts us off and says definitely the opposite of what Callahan was doing. Eric says seeing what sticks. Jack says mashed potatoes at the wall. I was going with personally like a spaghetti.
Usually it's spaghetti.
It is,
yeah.
but yeah,
mashed potatoes.
Mashed potatoes is messy, and maybe that's what this is. It's messy.
I don't know. Spaghetti is probably messier, but mashed potatoes has more velocity.
This is true. Let's see. D'Lo says throwing stuff at the wall. Daniel says opposite of Cali. Chase says seeing what sticks. Patrick says it means the kids got to just go out there and play. Anthony says, yes, it's the opposite. Callahan was so freaking conservative with Levis and now Cam. Alan says McCoy getting the U playbook. So I'm assuming he's talking about going back to what they did at Miami. Troy says throwing stuff together and hoping it sticks. Jeff says throwing stuff against the wall. This could go sideways fast, though. Kick it to the king, which I think is a very smart comment here. Doesn't matter until Bo changes his play calling tendencies. I think that's also a very fair element of all of this. Like Mike McCoy can have Cam do whatever he wants, but if Bo Hardegree is still going to be this bad at play calling, will it matter? Very fair comment there. Jeffrey says they should already have an idea of what works and what doesn't. Well, you'd be surprised, I guess. Brian says let Ward use his legs and make plays. Edward says we got to stick together. You heard Mike with, I guess he's talking about the chat. Titans Kyle says the opposite. Darius says the opposite. Corey says just throwing at the wall. Opposite of Cali. Curtis is throwing stuff at the wall. Cristoforo, opposite of Callahan, giving him more opportunities, opening up the playbook. So a lot of difference. 50-50 split if I had to, using my quick math and remembering all the comments. It felt close to 50-50 there.
Okay, so I just started the YouTube poll because my Xfinity situation of having work done in my area logged me out of Facebook on my desktop, so I had to get back in as A to Z to appropriately set up the YouTube poll. So that's fresh. So I think because Brian Callahan, since Cam Ward was drafted, also said we're trying to do the same stuff that worked at Miami. And Cam said the same things, that, well, hey, what's the difference? It's kind of the same. It's the same stuff, just named differently.
Mm-hmm.
And so my answer is going to be throwing stuff at the wall. Because I don't like, as a comment came in, Daniel Caribbean says he can't rewrite the playbook right now. So McCoy just has to be a leader of men and get this team improving. I agree overall with this comment. I think in the context of our question of giving Cam the green light, I think you're just trying to be more experimental and being okay with not like the only way you can have a failed experiment is if you didn't find out an answer. So If the answer to the experiment is that didn't work, then okay, great. Move on to the next thing, right? Like it's okay if it didn't work. Find out what will work or what doesn't work and do more of what does work and stop doing what didn't work and keep on trying until you're throwing just stuff out there, whether it's spaghetti, mashed potatoes, the green beans, the mac and cheese, whatever it is, just throw it. Keep throwing until something does stick on the wall.
Yeah, and to somebody's point there, if you keep doing that, Tighten Up says that wall's gonna smell bad. But hey, at least he tried. I agree that there, and like I do think that there is a lot more in this playbook that Cam Ward knows and was installed with him, and yet this coaching staff potentially didn't think he was either ready for it or could handle it through 6 games because of what we saw with his footwork issues, with the inability to get the ball out fast, the inability to kind of pull that trigger and try to make that throw. That you could see, and I'm with you ultimately, that obviously it would be bad to go. I think it would be bad to go the opposite of Callahan here, because Cam Ward cannot, if he wants to be successful in the NFL, cannot play out of some sort of structure, because that's kind of what the opposite of Callahan is, like seeing what sticks at what, throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks is kind of playing out of structure, kind of like people are saying, like, just go out there and let Cam go make plays. Like, that's never going to work. I'm sorry. Cam Ward cannot do that.
No, nobody can.
I it would be very hard for me to think of a quarterback who can just go out there and do that.
Nobody can consistently. Like, you can
correct,
figure stuff out. Like, if it's a 2-minute warning and you're down by 4, you need a touchdown. Like, of course, the best quarterbacks can go figure it out and make plays in those moments. But sustainably over week after week after week across the rest of the season, it's just not going to happen that way. Yeah,
right. And so I'm with it that it's kind of throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks, because I do think that if you don't at least try it, you're never going to know. And I think you have to kind of give Cam a little bit more freedom here, because if you keep trying to push him into, like, keep trying to push this square Cam Ward peg into the round hole of trying to operate consistently and often as they wanted him to, I think it's going to continue to kind of ruin his confidence and kind of go the opposite way of what you want things to do. So I think you want to just give him the opportunity to maybe do what feels comfortable to him, try some other things out. And even Mike McCoy in that comment said that it could look different from week to week. So I think there is going to be a lot of testing things out, finding what Cam is comfortable with, because ultimately Mike McCoy is right. The last 11 weeks or 12 weeks, 11 games has to be about the players and not the plays. This is going to be a totally different playbook with whoever comes in, clean out this staff and do whatever they do to get the next head coach in here. But ultimately right now it's on the development of a lot of these young guys. Cam Ward, it's on the development of Alec Ayumanor, fixing his drop issues, working on his route concept, those types of things. It's on the development of J.C. Latham getting back in there. It's on the development of Gunnar Helm potentially getting more snaps here. It's on the development of the defense, getting T'Vondre Sweat back, hopefully. Obviously, I don't think we'll have time to talk about this, but it's kind of a big blow that Femi Oladejo is on IR now. The guy who needed the most development and the most time is going to take even longer now. So that's unfortunate.
Coming off of maybe his best showing before he got hurt.
And like I said, maybe it was his best showing against the Swiss cheese offensive line of the Raiders, but progress is progress, like sure. that is good. But yeah, the development of Kevin Winston, Cedric Gray, all these guys, it's going to be about the players and getting them to play up to their best potential inside the structure, because they have not done that yet. So.
Yeah, and so I want to get to Pastor Raymond says coaches have to stop being scheme stubborn. Shape your scheme around players, not force players in your scheme. Yes, everybody agrees, and Brian Callahan said that for the last however many months. Go back to the NFL Combine, and I don't know if I can't pull up the clip. I won't be able to find it in time and get it loaded quick enough for it to work here. But He was literally asked at the combine when, again, pre-Shedeur Sanders draft stock falling off a cliff. He was asked basically, do you go with scheme fit or talent? And the answer, because that's scheme fit, Shedeur Sanders, talent, Cam Ward, right? It's structure, Shedeur, talent, Cam. And the answer was, you never sacrifice, I'm paraphrasing, you never sacrifice talent to fit the scheme. And so that was Callahan. Now Mike McCoy's saying that. Every coach will say that. Now you go pick the players that you think best fits how you think your football team can win, right? But once you have the players, you are game planning for what they do well. And so that's a fair comment from Pastor Raymond. You're right. But I think that's been the whole goal here. It just, the execution has been bad.
Mm-hmm.
Why has the execution been bad? Because the play calling hasn't been consistently good. The offensive line hasn't been consistently good. Neither has the quarterback play. Neither has the pass catchers. And
the wide receivers are not doing what they need to do because the talent's not there. Yes.
One thing goes wrong on just about every play that means it falls flat.
Yeah. Cam Ward can have all the talent in the world, but I think you heard this from Mike McCoy yesterday or Mike Borgonzi, someone. There's 10 other guys on the field that need to be doing their job better as well. Like, if those guys can play better at a consistent level, you're going to hopefully see a lot of these other things work.
Like each unit, running backs, quarterback, offensive line, tight ends, wide receivers, all of those units have been not good enough. Now, individually, there have been good efforts and good plays. But on the same time that like Tony Pollard has been really good, but he's also fumbled twice. That's really hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, like Chig has been pretty good. He's, not been perfect. He's gotten like bullied in some pass protection situations at times that have hurt on those plays. But over that, he's been net positive. And so it's just, you go up and down the offensive roster and the defensive roster for that matter, you find out that sometimes guys make big plays, but one of their teammates shoots them in the foot, right? Sack gets made, face mask. You get a third down stop, lined up in the neutral zone. What do you know? You get another third down stop, illegal contact by Armour Davis down the field. All it takes is one person to mess up the entire play, and that's what this Titans team is doing at a crazy level, a crazy high level. One thing blows up the whole play. So, look, there's a lot of issues going on, but I'm going to get to the YouTube poll, update that. So, does giving Cam Ward the green light mean ... A, the opposite of Callahan's structure, or B, throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks? Currently 54% throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks is the answer on that. So I apologize if my connection isn't the cleanest. Xfinity is doing maintenance in my area. That I found that out like 3 minutes after we started the show. So that's great. A couple other comments I wanted to get to here, and we have a Jeffrey Simmons topic we will discuss here momentarily. But first, I want to tell you guys about our friends at the Barton Drury Insurance Group. Customized solutions for all of your insurance needs. BartonDrury.com. That's where you should go. You can call their phone number, actually. Call them 615-806-1265. That's 615-806-1265. You say, hey, A to Z said you can help me try to find some area to save money on my insurance, whether that's your home, auto, renters, your health coverage. If you have an umbrella policy, you need that. If you have 401k planning and you need extra help, maybe you just want to see a second opinion on your 401k planning, what you already have going on. Give Barton Drury an opportunity to help you out there, because they've done a phenomenal job with Zach and I's business and with running A to Z Sports to help us out with our workers' comp, with our employee benefits, and many other things that we will need in the future. So check them out online at bartondrury.com or call them 615-806-1265. If you tell them A to Z sent you, we will enter you in a chance to win a Titans jersey of your choice right there at bartondrury.com.
Yeah, also shout out our friends at BTA Sports. BTA, better for betters. Once again, BTA Sports isn't a sports book. They are a tool that helps us, the betters, win more money than you lose. They have a risk analyzer. You choose the bets. BTA shows you how risky they are using their data-backed risk thresholds. Like you said, Austin, 59% through 6 weeks. And if you know a thing or two about betting, it's been yet another weird year. And so the fact that they are hitting above that mark of about 54, 55% is really impressive. So that's why we trust BTA Sports. Use code ATOZ14 when you download the BTA Sports app to get a 14-day free trial before a weekly subscription of $9.99. Use the link in the show description or right below that title on Facebook.
Yep, right there with BTA. So dump Comcast and get fiber. Okay. And then Roger says, Austin, you just described the tendency of every bad team ever. Yeah, that bad football teams look the same. It's at the NFL level. Bad football teams look the same. It's not as bad as it seems, but it just one thing breaks every play that makes it really, really bad overall. So I want to get to a super chat, and then I have another follow-up question to the Mike McCoy topic of things. Hub says the answer is simplify the playbook short term, get with Cam to find what plays make him comfy, and give him easy answers while working on mechanics. It's a very good, clean comment from Hub right there. Simplify the playbook short term, find what he likes to make him comfortable, which McCoy talked about, and then give him easy answers to the test while working on his mechanics long term. So what you don't want to do with any type of testing or development is test too many variables at once. So the working on mechanics while you're doing these things in season is a really tough task, because now you're thinking too much, and you're simplifying now gets more complicated because you're thinking too much. So I wanted to kind of use this to branch out and ask the question, because Mike McCoy said, find out what Cam does well, what he likes, and do more of it. What does Cam do well? What do we think Cam Ward likes as far as play style, play calling? I want to hear, JT, your thoughts, but also keeping an eye on the chat as well. So, what do we think? What actual changes and adjustments can Mike McCoy make that we're kind of trying to figure out what can look different?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think it's getting Cam earlier pass success. We've seen on a lot of their drives, they start out pretty run heavy. And I think for Cam right now, obviously their idea was to establish the run first, to then set up Cam to be very, easier on him in terms of the pressure in the long term in the passing game. I think there needs to be more passing game early to then have the run take some of that pressure off later, which is kind of inverse, but and probably not the right way to do it in the long term. But right now, Cam Ward, when he gets into that pocket, no matter what the situation is, he's drifting. His footwork looks bad. He's not trusting what he sees downfield. You need to get him that early success to build that confidence, because we do see that confidence end up happening down the, during the late stretch of the game when they start playing a little bit more shell soft coverage.
Yeah.
Then he starts getting the easy throws, and he starts to make throws better and feel more comfortable. And obviously you're not going to get that type of coverage early in the game, but if he starts making those completions earlier on, I think you can then have him settle in and not be drifting and not be as afraid in the pocket as he has looked the past couple of weeks. And I think also there's been a lot of questions, and rightfully so, about RPO, play action, those types of things that get him on the move. Obviously, the wide receivers also have to do their part on those by creating a lot more separation, because the separation that they're getting right now on those design rollouts and boots is not there. And Cam is still, even on the things that he likes to do, which is going outside of the pocket, he's not executing on, because the wide receivers aren't simply there. And so I think you need to simplify that, get him going earlier at the sacrifice of maybe establishing the run a little bit.
Yeah. So The chat mostly agrees with you. I've seen a lot of people saying play action, some rollouts, moving him. I think what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying. Here's the problem with the Titans. There's always a but because if you try to throw early, but one incompletion puts you in 2nd and 10. Yes. And then you're really likely to face 3rd and 8, and then you're toast. Or worse, right? Or what if you but he's taking some sacks in early downs, and now you're in 2nd and 15, and now you're screwed. Right? Like, or a drop happens, and now you're behind the sticks. So like running the football allows you to stay out of 3rd and long more often than you have been. So that's why I think they did that. Earlier on in the season. And then I see Tighten Up 2 says faster pace on offense, more up tempo. I think Cam likes that. Cam's told us he likes that. Cam's also told us that he likes real grass and not turf. Tough. You're going to have turf in that new stadium for the rest of your Titans career at home games. Right. So, but here's the thing about that. You can go up tempo all you want, but what do we always talk about the defense? The damn breaks in the second half. They play really, really good until the damn breaks. Why the damn break? Because they're on the field for so many minutes. Well, if you just run up tempo and all you do is go 3 and out faster, then the defense is right back out there on the field. So it's that, again, the problem that Roger brought up of I'm describing every bad team ever is, I do. Because every time you think you can say, this might be good for Cam, but that's going to hang something else out to dry. And now if you run up tempo, you don't convert, you're in 3rd and long, you're punting faster, your defense is out there, playing well early, the damn breaks. Now you're down by 2 scores. Now you got to throw. Now the defense is pinning their ears back. Now you're getting sacked 6 times a game. It's just that's the slippery slope that this entire offense is. But I do agree. The idea is roll him out earlier, get him moving, putting the defense in conflict. And, I think that's kind of the best answer that we have here. Right now. Yeah.
It's once again, it goes back to that idea of they're not going to know unless they try. And that's why we ultimately came to the answer of they're going to throw stuff against the wall and see what sticks with Cam Ward, because at this point you got to try other things, because I don't think that you got to have a more player focused approach. And I don't think Mike McCoy and this offensive staff can continue to try to run what they were doing and kind of go back to basics. And so that includes trying everything and everything. So
NB says the O-line will likely get more penalties during tempo too. Because now there's more likeliness for false starts. There's more likeliness for some illegal procedure type stuff, for illegal motion. And then Jack says you can't run up tempo if you can't get a first down. And I think when you see up tempo, especially in college where it's more prevalent, up tempo happens after you convert your first down of the drive, right? You get that first down, go. And that's something I'm okay with. But so many times they can't get that first down, and you're just punting all
I do, right? There was also Keelan says try the pistol like Atlanta. I do think the one thing that they have not done a lot of that Cam did in Miami is run play action and a lot of their offense out of shotgun. I think that's also a thing. You might see a lot more shotgun from him, getting him outside underneath center at least, which I think whether it's pistol or shotgun or anything like that, like getting him out so that the quick passing game can happen a lot faster and make that defense think just for that split second more. I think you could see that work as well.
This is from Albert Breers. Talk about Mike McCoy on the right side of this, the top paragraphs. McCoy's experience with quarterbacks is varied. Pure pocket passers like Peyton Manning, Phillip Rivers, true option like Tim Tebow, improviser like Jake Delhomme. Remove Jake Delhomme. So the first 3 guys there don't have a lot in common. Peyton Manning, Phillip Rivers, Tim Tebow are 3 different quarterbacks, but they do have one thing in common: shotgun.
Yeah.
Right? Jake Delhomme, that was back, in the early mid 2000s where shotgun was not what it is today. But you at least, I think that's a good point, is shotgun / pistol. That allows Cam's eyes to stay up and forward when he's doing play action. It might look more like RPOs, even though I don't know if it is or not. It doesn't necessarily mean it is an RPO if it's a play action from the shotgun overall. But Hub has some more super chats. Play Chig in the slot over Lockett, helmet Y.
Sure.
Works for me, man.
Yeah.
Works for me. Hub also says RPOs in quick game, keep everything 5 to 10 yards to draw the defense up and set up shots. Take your 2-minute offense and make that the standard. I mean, I think Cam does better in those situations and with that script, but that script hurts other things, kind of like we've talked about. All right, let's JT, let's go ahead and get to our next topic here. And this is something that I want to talk about because I think this is a good deal. The situation between Jeffrey Simmons and JC Latham. So JT, I'm gonna throw it in the chat right now. What are your thoughts on the reported Jeffrey Simmons, JC Latham practice situation from last week? And so we'll get to that here in a second, hear from Mike McCoy and his thoughts on the matter as well. But let me tell you guys about our friends at Window Nation, windownation.com. That's the website. I went to that website in early September. I signed up for a free estimate of my house of what would it cost for us to get new windows. We've had new windows on our long-term project on our house since we moved in 2 years ago, and we wanted to pull the trigger at some point, and we found Window Nation with the right deal. Buy 2 windows, get 2 windows free, no payments necessary for 2 years. And there's so many different other ways you can save thousands of dollars on your windows because our new windows, they're being manufactured right now. We're very excited to get those installed next month. They're going to, up the aesthetics of our windows. They're just going to look better. We have builder grade. There are net negatives on our other bills in our home. We're going to save money on all of our monthly bills on top of raising the value of our home, having a better aesthetic, just looking better, feeling better. More light's going to be coming in because they got more window space and less frame space. It's so much better. And they do a great job with their presentation, with a heat lamp presentation to show what my new windows are going to do as far as keeping the temperature what I want it to be inside, regardless of what it is outside. In Nashville, that's massive because it's so freaking hot and humid in months, and then it's just so cold and wet in other months. I want it to be what I want it to be inside any month of the year. Window Nation can help you out with that. Buy 2 windows, get 2 windows free. The deal was extended throughout October. Take advantage of it. The estimate's free. Great experience on the estimate as well. windownation.com.
Yeah, BTA Sports, use that code in the when you download the app, or just use the link in the description or right below the Facebook title to get a 14-day free trial before a weekly subscription of $9.99. Smart bets, no guesswork. BTA, better for bettors.
All right, JT, we're going to hear from Mike McCoy. We asked people, what are your thoughts on the Jeffrey Simmons, JC Latham situation from practice last week that was reported by Mike Silver of The Athletic? Here is Tron Davenport asking Mike McCoy yesterday about Jeffrey in that situation from last week.
I mean, what are your thoughts on those comments?
Well, your opponents can say what they want to say. I don't agree with it, to be honest with you. I think if you look at how we've practiced, our players work their tails off. They work extremely hard every day. Okay, in the situation last week where the first couple plays of the period, not what we want to know, but I love the fact that at practice somebody stood up and said, "Start it over. This is not good enough. You know, we got to fix this. This is not acceptable." And there's a certain standard you have to have, and that's like I mentioned Jeff earlier. I love that. That he, you know, it's like I talked about. That's the accountability factor. If he wants to win so bad, you know, he's a great example to look at from any player on this football team and say, if we all work as hard on a daily basis and go out there and play the way he is playing on Sundays, great things are going to happen for this organization. So I understand the frustration, but so
there's Mike McCoy. So the situation from Mike Silver, The Athletic, was that last Thursday, the practice that Jeffrey Simmons said they started out flat. Jeff said that or Mike Silver reported that Jeff went at JC Latham to challenge JC Latham. He said, the last 10 reps, I've been watching you. That's not what we need. We need more from you. And then Mike McCoy adds the extra context there that you just heard. I want to know what people think about this, because I'll start, because I've been very hard on Jeffrey Simmons and what I've been viewed of his lack of leadership. This is the best level of reported leadership that we have heard from Jeffrey Simmons. This is that good stuff. It's not a bad thing. A lot of people I'm expecting to say, JC, bad look, man. I don't think that is a bad look on JC Latham. I just think it was a slower start to a practice. And that happens. And JC Latham was practicing. Look, he was out for 4 weeks with a hip situation. And he practiced for the first time on Wednesday. And so we're talking about Thursday's practice. So JC Latham was back on day 2 after his first day back after missing a month of practice. Like, are you expecting JC Latham to be just ready to go? No. But I like the fact that Jeff is pushing him. Like, I think this is a great situation overall, and it should not be a negative on JC Latham. I honestly don't think it should be a negative on Brian Callahan at all. I think the fact that Brian Callahan has empowered Jeffrey Simmons to do that in a practice, to have a player say, nope, start over. That's good. All up and down. I like that. It's not a negative whatsoever, but it was being viewed as a bad thing on Brian Callahan. Like, bad practices don't happen at any point of the year. So that's my thoughts on it. I don't know if you see any comments from the chat, or if you want to hit your own, JC.
Yeah, I think, I mean, you heard from both McCoy in that answer a little bit, and Mike Borgonzi on Monday night. That it's not, those practices happen. So I don't think that was as big of a deal. But Kevin says, good on Jeff calling out guys not working hard enough, or just at least not bringing the type of attitude and energy that you need to when you're coming off a win like that. Hub said, finally, someone stepping up and holding the team accountable. Bork says Jeff was clearly right. A lot of people saying that they just both should be traded. Pastor says, I love it. Big Jeff being a captain. Steven says Jeff Simmons was right to call him out. Curtis says Jeff called him out, and Latham still got his butt kicked in that game there.
Yeah, that's because Max Crosby's really freaking good, and JC Latham is a second-year player in his first game back from injury. So,
yeah, I think. Listen, I think it is really, really good for Jeff to do this, because, and this is to get to the bigger point of why I don't think Jeffrey Simmons should be traded or will be, because if he's doing that in that moment after a win, I just want to imagine, and ultimately it's hard for us to know if this happens in practices, because little inside baseball, the guys, the boots on the ground media that are there Monday through Friday don't get to watch much of practices during the year. We get to see the warm-ups and we get to see individual, but nothing like that where you see JC Latham and Jeffrey Simmons going at it. So I imagine that type of leadership and that type of drive and that Jeffrey Simmons is displaying is going to be invaluable for this team for the next 11 games. And I think that for the young guys, for him to finally show up in this moment when the team is, we keep saying it every week, but like at rock bottom, I think that's more invaluable than the Jeffrey Simmons and a 4th for a 3rd pick swap that you're going to get ultimately from a trade.
Yeah, for sure. So I think Vanessa had something about like, why isn't the coach doing this? Why didn't the coach stop practice like this? Because the best football teams, the best teams in any sport, the best organizations are run by not the top people. Like, the culture is created by the top, and the culture is run and managed and operating by the people that are in it, by the players. And so if I were, what I love as a leader manager of our company is when I see something done that needed to be done and I had nothing to do with it. Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about, right? Because it works better. If it comes from somebody else, then it holds a lot of weight, right? Like, I think that's what the whole point is that Jeffrey Simmons is doing exactly what the coaches want him to do as a 5-time captain of this football team. That's his job to do. Player-led teams work best. And part of the reason why this team does not have player leadership or enough of it right now is because it wasn't developed over the last couple of years of Mike Vrabel's tenure. When you lost some of those big veterans that you won a lot of games with, and Vrabel became the leader, then you did not develop and help polish up leadership skills within the veterans that were the next group. You know?
Yeah. Because Harold Landry was not much of a leader. Amani Hooker, is a captain, but not an outwardly spoken leader.
Amani Hooker should have been working on this path over the last 2 to 3 years, because Kevin Byard was the guy, right? So after Byard's gone, Hooker should have been groomed and developed to be a leader now, but it wasn't happening.
Yeah. Same thing you could do with Roger McCreary. A lot of these guys, it just never happened. And also,
it should have happened more with Jeff and better with Jeff.
Yes.
It's taken Jeff a couple of years to get to this point.
It's also hard when all of your players from those draft classes are basically out of the league.
Yeah.
You can't make leaders if they don't stick around for more than a year and a half playing. So
you got to be good.
Yes, fair enough.
Good point.
Yeah.
And how about and Nick asked, how about L'Jarius Sneed? He has now officially played more games this season than he did last season for the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't around.
Yeah.
Like, you can't lead being injured. And I didn't mean to mute myself. Injured. So it's just, and there's a difference in being a leader and being a hype man. Like, I think Jeffrey Simmons is making his transition officially from a hype man to a leader. And I think that's where I wanted to see more from Jeff. And to his credit, he's doing it. And I respect it. I've been hard on Jeff. I've been calling him out for a while. The penalties have stopped for the moment. His play has continued to increase, and his leadership has also continued to increase. Those are all great things for this organization, and he will not be traded.
Yeah, at this point, I think the trade would have to be like a first plus for Jeff, and nobody's going to do that because of where he is at his age and whatnot. But yeah, you're getting this type of production and this type of leadership when you are at the rock bottom. Yeah, I think that it's pretty important to keep him around. No doubt at all. All right. Hey, Darren says, I'm proud of both Jeff and Austin. There you go. Look, I'm open to the changing of things, right? Let me just double check. All right. No more super chats that I see. It is now time for us to do trivia. If I can, I was not prepared ahead of time like I normally am. But let's hopefully my phone hotspot. Oh, you've been on your phone hotspot this entire time. This entire time, I've been on my phone hotspot because Xfinity texted me 4 minutes after the show started and said, we're working on improving. Queen of Trivia, Ann Herndon says, let's go. She's ready. So. All right. Hopefully my hotspot will continue to hold up, and let's do some trivia. First, shout out to Wilson County Hyundai, wilsoncountyhyundai.com. That's where to go. Make them a part of your new car buying process. See them in Lebanon or online, Wilson County Hyundai. Okay, JT, I'm going to share my screen. Let's see if this can work smoothly. Here we go. How we do? All right. We're there. Not bad. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm looking fuzzy right now. Okay, let's go quickly here.
NFL for our trivia. Who caught the most touchdown passes from Kurt Warner during his NFL career? My guess is Torrey Holt.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, it has to be, right?
Oh, wow. Host to multiple UFC events following the COVID pandemic, Yas Island, aka Fight Island, is located in what country?
Hmm.
They call it Isaac Bruce. No, not Isaac Bruce. The UAE.
Yeah, I was that. Yeah, something like that. United
Dubai. Arab area. All right, TV. Currently starring as Ed Gins on Netflix Monster, Charlie Hunnam played Jax Teller on this FX series. I have no idea.
Jax Teller. Who is Jax Teller?
I have no idea what. I don't know any of these characters. Actors,
Sons of Anarchy. Go
Okay.
Sons of Anarchy. Let's do that.
All right, movies. Johnny Depp and Benicio del Toro starred in this 1998 dark comedy adventure film that was based on Hunter S. Thompson novel. I don't know. I'm not a big novel person. Fear and Loathing.
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Never heard of it.
Well, there it is. Music. This rapper had popular albums in the 2010s with Acid Rap, Coloring Book, and had been featured on hit songs like Justin Bieber's Holy and DJ Khaled's I'm the One.
I
don't know.
Holy. Chance the Rapper? That sounds right. Yeah, because Coloring Book.
Yeah.
Okay.
Grocery products. Everybody doesn't like something, but nobody doesn't like is a partial slogan for the slice of bread brand named after a woman.
Named after a woman.
Everybody doesn't like something, but nobody doesn't like. What?
Sarah Lee.
It's got to be Sarah Lee because that's the only. MLB. The San Francisco Giants defeated this team in the NLCS in both 2012 and 2014.
St.
Who did
Louis.
The Reds, or I'm sorry, the Cardinals.
I'm gonna wait for the chat, but I believe that's who it was.
On the way to who'd they beat?
Their titles.
Cardinals.
Yeah, it's the Cardinals.
NBA. CJ McCollum, Chris Middleton, and Marvin Bagley really are currently on what Eastern Conference team? The Bucks.
Is Middleton still on the? Yeah. I think it's Bucks. Hold on. Oh well, hold on. We're getting.
Sorry, I
Wizards. Okay.
Yep. Oh, that's who is that? That's what's his name? This looks like crap. Adam something.
And
Demi
first
Moore?
of all, yeah. Oh, Adam Scott.
Adam Scott, yes. Use double dip, and we're gonna go with
NFL or NBA.
NBA because we know it's the Wizards. We don't know for sure what the Kurt Warner answer is. Okay. Kurt
only
Warner
27%. So
yeah,
that was the hardest one of the day. That's crazy.
Larry Fitzgerald.
Yep.
Ugh. Yep. All right, I didn't think
it was going to be long enough for him in Arizona to do that, but hey, I guess it is.
All right, that's it for us. Make sure you hit that like button, like the show before you go. That goes a long way for us. So we'll catch you guys tomorrow on a Thursday morning, and Buck Rising back live tonight for A to Z Sports Prime Time at 7. Appreciate it as always.